Hello and welcome to my channel again, how to install solar panels on your roof. This one's all about the panels. As you can see, I've got mine up. We've had not very good weather in the UK, so rather than do a video and waste good weather days, I just thought I'd get them up, but I can show you mostly what I did. So the order in which you put your panels is important. I think I sussed it out. I did these second, this roof. And what I did is I went from, because of the tight amount of space here I have on this roof and obviously no scaffolding, I started with this one first and then I went along this way, and then when I got to this one I moved one up and then that one along and then put that one in last and then started here and then along the bottom. I think that worked well, because I could manage to get to all the side hooks. I've also put a bit of the bird netting on. I'm going to finish that today if the weather helps me stay dry. And yeah, I think that was just the best method. And then from the top, with these solar edge panels, your panels might be different, the optimizers and all the connections are at the top of the panel, and you shouldn't really turn them upside down because that might affect the weatherproofing of the Staubli MC4 connectors. So I kept them in the right orientation, optimizers at the top, and then you can reach it from the ridge connect from the bottom. With these ones, once I put in one, then I used, my body was in this space to connect it, and then, sorry, I've gone out of focus, and then I put that one in, connected it, put that one in, connected it. So the way you connect them, once you've got the solar panels up, I would test the voltage on the panel. So positive and negative, use DC multimeter on the DC setting, 20 volt setting or something, just to obviously show a volt. And then the optimizers, what they do is that once the panel's in sun, they'll only output 1 volt. So I tested that, made sure there was a volt or near enough a volt output to make sure the panel worked correctly. And then I installed 2 bolts on the frame, they're about here. On the top ones, on these top ones, they're hanging off that bolt. Well, they're not hanging now, they're connected, but initially it would help just to hang the panel. On the underside of the frame, those bolts were M6 20mm bolts, and they just held the panel in place while we played around with where exactly we wanted the panel. Once I'd installed the bolts on the ground and checked the voltage, then I'd put the panel up. I started with this panel, so this is going to be my number 1 in the string. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I got to 8, what I did is I made a conduit through the, I'm not sure if you can see that there. We'll go up and have a look in a sec. I'll go there now. But I made a conduit from this one to this one. As you can see, you can't see any cables on the roof because the conduit takes it in through the tile. I cut the tile out, so the tile sits nice on the roof. Another loop of cable round with a Staubli connector on. Staubli connector the other end, the opposite Staubli connector, and then that connected to the positive of this one, and then continued on. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this is the first panel, like I said. So to get it on, lifting it with 2 hands, using the knees, and then placing it on the rail. We made sure the measurements were all correct before we started tying anything down, so make sure the rails were all as expected. And then what you have to do is, on the back side, the optimizer, there's 2 inputs from the solar panel, positive and negative, and there's 2 outputs, positive and negative. So you want to connect the negative output, so only outputs I'm going to talk about now. So the output negative needs to connect to the positive of the next panel. So the positive on the next panel looks like a male, even though I think they call it female just to confuse things. But effectively it's the one with the protruding connection. And it's on these panels, the output of the positive comes round a loop around the frame and then is left in the middle of the panel. So all I need to do is just decide how much cable I needed to take away from the frame loops, and then stick the optimizers about here on the panel, on the top left as you look at it, if you're looking at the back, top right. Yeah, stick that in, and then I use some tie clips picked up a bunch of tie clips to make sure there's no wires loose. So if you look under here, no wires should be touching the roof at all, but they also shouldn't be too tight. So you need to allow for thermal expansion. So sort of leave them loose. Some people do a coil as well, sort of around, but I just left them loose, but make sure they weren't touching the roof, so they allows for expansion. I'll show you the conduit I've done. So I've obviously done 2 conduits because it's got to go into the roof, then out of the roof, and then here you can see the conduit coming out of the roof. Just a white oval 20mm conduit for my 6mm solar cable. So there's 2 coming out of there. One will be the home run cable. So the home run cable goes from the final panel connected here, and it runs alongside the other positive negative chain, runs alongside all the way, and then comes back through into the roof, and then that will be the one side of the inverter, and then the home run cable from this panel, the first panel, goes all the way, and that will be the opposite orientation. So this one, I believe I connected to the final. Might be able to show you the optimizer. There's the optimizer, and then here you've got the 2 sets of cables. The one's closest to us is the output negative, and then the one closest to us, the one with the white cable on, is the positive, and that positive will go into the negative of the 16th panel there, and then the negative here is connected to the home run cable, and that goes all the way, so that stops magnetic interference. Apparently you can just daisy chain them without doing the home run, but it's not best practice. Yeah, so that's my where is it? That's my conduit there. I've just put a clip on, and as you can see, I've filled in the holes that the roof made, just to stop insects going in with some expanding foam. Just saves me having to deal with wasp nests in the attic. And as you can see down here, I can get a good view on it. There's the conduit coming out here, taking the home run cable back to the inverter, and the daisy chain link, which goes to the panel number 9 across on the other side of the roof. So that's it for this one. If you've got any questions, things that I learned, like I said, the orientation about how you put them on is important, especially when you've got a side of the roof with no scaffolding. You need to decide how you're going to tie these clips down. These clips are very simple to use. You just put them in the slot, and then it's just I think it's a 10mm. I use a ratchet for that, and there is a torque setting. I can't remember it off by heart. But yeah, so that's sort of the most important thing. And once they're connected, how you're gonna screw it in. So have a think about that on your setup. I'm just gonna start the bird protection now. Like I said, I've already started it on that side of the roof, on the far side, and I did that before I put the panels in, because I realised I'm not going to be able to get to that side of the roof before I put. Oh wait, I'll come down. Before I put this panel on. Before I put this panel on, so I had this one on at first on this roof. I then put the netting, as you can see the top of the netting there. I put the netting down alongside and screwed it in, and then when that one was on, I could do that bottom one from the roof there, and then this one I just leant over and connected. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll let you know how I get on with the electrical side of things in my next video.